What's up, YouTube? This is Paul Hill. We're going to be talking about my impressions on iOS 12 and just in general where I think iOS is heading. So I guess let's get started. Before we go any further, make sure to hit that red subscribe button down below and also click that bell so you get notified anytime I post a video. Now back to the video. Okay, so let's start off with what they said at WWDC. Is Mac and iOS merging? And the answer is no. Just thought I'd point that out. They are going to bring some Apple apps to the Mac, which is interesting just because people kept giving the speculation with saying, oh, they're going to be merging stuff. No, that's not the case. They've been working on frameworks to put more iPhone apps on the Mac and all that. Something that Windows has been trying to do with like Windows phones and Windows tablets, desktops, and like Xboxes and stuff. Well, in this case, Apple's going to be more successful on it. So, but only time will tell in general. But it's there. Okay, and the second thing is they're trying to be more like the iPhone X. If you look at it, so if you look at it on the left-hand corner, we have the date and time. Used to be you just had the time in the middle, which is going to kind of throw me off because I've owned iOS devices since the end of 2010. There's only been like 1 year that I've actually have not owned any. So it's going to kind of throw me off for a little bit, but I think I'll get used to it because on Android right now it's on the right-hand side. At least it is on the stock one. And another thing is, if you look on the right-hand side, you pull it down, you get Control Center, which is neat. They've really came a long way since I first used it back in iOS 8. I think iOS 7 is like the only one I really skipped. Cause, say probably about a year and a half after iOS 7 came out, I got my iPad Mini 2, which I just switched over to an iPad Mini 4. So there's that. So I've been using iOS since 2010. So anyway, it's going to be different. Another thing though, if you look at it, we got Notification Center now. Group notifications finally. That's been on Android for years. It's part of the reason why I stopped when I went and got an iPad again after not having one for years. I just never used the notifications. One, it's because that wasn't my primary tablet at the time. I eventually became my primary tablet recently, and even back then it became more used for entertainment and stuff. But the whole thing behind it was not helpful trying to scroll through and not be able to find stuff. Whereas an Android, you got it grouped from like the last few notifications in like one thing for certain apps, and then you just scroll through it or just even hold down on it and it can show you like a little bit more. Now, I will say this, it is a little bit more bulky in the sense that you have to click on it and then it brings it all up. Here's a video of like me bringing it up. So you have to click on it and then brings it all up, and instead of Android you just scroll through it depending on the app. And then also when you want to clear them, instead of just swiping away, you got to swipe away, click, get clear all or clear, manage, and then some other one I'll put it up. But that's a little bit different. And then you can clear all notifications. But the next thing is you're moving in. Let's look at they got voice memos and stocks now. So we'll look at the voice memo, and here's the footage of me doing voice memos. It's different. It's kind of a little bit bulky in the sense that you got to click pause, then done. So whatever. And then also going into it, they got what they call Siri now has what they call shortcuts. So these are things like you can set it up to do multiple things at once, like open certain apps and stuff. Like here I am setting it up for Parks and Rec Season 2. So I clicked on it, recorded Parks and Rec, and then anytime I hold down the home button, I can go Parks and Rec. and it brings it up. That's neat. Anyway, they're gearing this towards, I think, trying to compete with the Amazon Assistant thing. I'm not going to say her name. And I think Google Home does this. Don't quote me on it. But I know at least the Amazon one does. We can build out routines. So stuff like you can tell Siri, going home, and then it loads up your... You can really elaborate out on this, showing like, I need traffic updates and directions for home. You could text a roommate, change your AC, and turn on lights and all that for when you get home. So you could really elaborate out on it. So I figured that's probably helpful. Because Siri's kind of useless, considering I can get Google Assistant on here and I think the Amazon one. And other stuff that they have now is like Memoji. That's really neat. So you're supposed to, I'll put footage up there. It's supposed to be like you can make your own, like how they got Bitmoji on Snapchat, make your own Memoji and then have it set up to work on the camera and stuff. Like right now it's only in the iPhone X, and use it for other stuff that supports Animoji. They have FaceTime that supports up to 32 people now. A lot of the other multitasking now. Here's footage of it. A lot of it's like gesture based. You can swipe up to bring you home. You have to pinch and hold, and then it brings you into multitasking, which I'm kind of having issues with, because I'm used to just swiping up and on multitasking and then swiping away. But, so I wish there was a way to tweak it so I can make it shorter, but there may be, there may not. So either way, as time goes on, they'll probably improve on it. They had a bunch of other just design features that just showing you that they'll slowly start to move everything over to have a notch, which I kind of disagree with, but you can only go so far with cameras and all that. So maybe that's a good thing to give you more screen real estate. But as of right now, the only thing I use that home button for, even like back in iOS 11, maybe even 10. So iOS 11, all I use it for now, while I was using it for just to use Touch ID, and then I was using 10 on my Mini too. All I used it was to press home to unlock and enter my password. So, because I'm trying to move away from that, especially on older devices, because longest time Apple was having home buttons fail. I mean, I had that iPod Touch 4 and the home button failed on it, so I was using that assistive touch or whatever, which I think still exists. I was having to use that to use the home button. So I guess having gestures now is great. Other than that, honestly, I think iOS is really making a difference on where they're going. They're really coming closer to how Android operates now, which is a good thing. And honestly, if someone were to ask me tomorrow, like, should I get an Android? Or should I get something like an iPhone or an iPad or whatever device? My answer to that now is I don't know, because I like things about my Moto Z Play that I currently use, but then also I like some things that this iPad can do. And other than that, they're both good experiences. I've had bad experiences on both platforms before, but that's nothing compared to like just having an overall bad experience. For example, I had a BlackBerry tablet at one point. It sucked because it didn't even have like a built-in email app or some of these other apps. You had to go use the web browser for a lot of stuff when I first got it. And when it first came out, it sucked just because there wasn't an ecosystem built around it. Or like even that Windows tablet, which I still have. I don't ever use it anymore because I'm back to using a laptop and using an iPad when I don't want to carry around a laptop. And while it was great for running regular Windows apps, which Microsoft's trying to really push on like low power devices now, it sucked running the universal Windows app platform just because they didn't have experience in mobile. And that's the same thing with that Windows Phone device. It's dead, which I honestly, I tried out a Windows Phone for a little bit, which I got video on it that I'll put down in the description that just talks about the experience of it. Overall, I've had both good and bad experiences on stuff. I mean, sometimes they can fix it, sometimes they can't. Stuff like the Roku. I had one of the, I think it was the Roku 1. The Roku I think so. It was a Roku 1. When did I get it? I think Christmas of, let's see. It had to be Christmas of 2013, because I got the Chromecast a year later. That's actually what started the channel. But I got the Roku 1. Worked out okay. Just it was, features were lacking, and as time went on, I wasn't relying on third-party apps to do stuff, like even just play YouTube. I was relying on third-party apps on my phone to send it up. But eventually they built in features, and even then, the Roku 1 was underpowered. Because that was they refreshed the whole lineup of like Roku 1, 2, and 3. Because they do that every so often. Roku refreshes the lineup completely. But then I stopped using it after I went to Chromecast. Well, fast forward to later on, I got a Roku Premiere because I bought a Sling TV membership one time, and I thought they were just going to send me the stick. Well, because they said Roku streaming stick. Well, they sent me a Roku Premiere for some odd reason, but that's like a $70 streaming box. So whatever, I only paid $20 for it technically, but it improved so much compared to the Roku 1. So I mean, you can improve on stuff over time. Even software now, like the Google Home devices, they finally support output to a Bluetooth speaker. Now it's not fully, but it's a little bit better. I mean, as time goes on, you can improve on something and just make it better. I mean, Windows 10's somewhat gotten better, still kind of sucky in a way, and I'm having to use that now on my PC. I mean, Windows 10 has gotten somewhat better over time, and worse in some ways. But I mean, overall, if you can build a solid device, you can release solid updates. I mean, that BlackBerry tablet had Android sideloading, app sideloading, which kind of made it a little bit more useful, except no one actually took use of it, because they're just basically emulating Android. But it really had potential. In fact, some people unofficially sideloaded apps on there, and that's what really made the tablet more useful before I got rid of it. But either way, honestly, something can build on both software and hardware wise. But other than that, it's really gotten to the point that Apple is really taking direction from just everyone in the ecosystem. And Steve Jobs was a great guy, but the whole closed system bullcrap was bullcrap. And it kind of still is in some ways, like the issues I'll have with the new MacBook Pros and stuff, but especially software-wise, because they really limited the what phones what they can do software-wise. They're still limited on the hardware, like not being able to expand it and whatnot. But you could take stuff and get like wireless thumb drives now, and like maybe lightning thumb drives. I don't get them in USB-C. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.